Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here. California Weather Watch. Today, September 2nd, and right now we're looking at the combination Doppler radar, so you can kind of see the spin in the atmosphere here, the northern movement of this precipitation southerly out in front of it here. Going to bring some heavy rounds of precipitation with it again today and tomorrow before it makes its trek off to the east. This light green line here is where the general thunderstorm risk is, generally to the right of that. But yeah, interesting stuff there yesterday. Some pretty good precipitation ongoing across some of Las Vegas. Northern California, perfectly placed storm right on the fire complexes here, and it's really starting to put out some of those fires. Have some flash flood watches up there right now, but for the most part, beneficial rainfall across much of the region. I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into things here and take a look at the mid-level water vapor loop. You can see that spinning right over the area here. Just a perfect placement there. Can't ask for much better placement with this storm, as it's going to continue to bring precipitation for the next couple days across the region. And you can see the lightning strikes firing up here as this storm moves up across Nevada. We're going to kick off some thunderstorms again here near Las Vegas. There's still a flash flood watch through midnight here. You can get some pretty heavy rain across some of the Sierra Nevada as we go on through the next couple days as well. But then in the extended, we're going to build a ridge. We'll take a look at that in the models, and a tropical system going to pass by to the south here as well. We'll take a look at those details in a moment. Looking at Redding, up towards 3 inches of rain in the last couple of days, and some areas get well up over an inch here also. So yeah, very beneficial across the area, helping to extinguish some of these forest fires. We'll take a look at the smoke here in the HER high resolution model here in a bit. This is looking at some of the desert areas, some hit and miss amounts here across some areas up over 2 inches, some areas with less, but still beneficial rainfall, and they even got a little bit of precip down. Look at Huntington Beach, 100th of an inch there. So interesting stuff. If we scroll up towards Las Vegas, look at this, up towards 3 inches for some of the city here. St. George, 2-3 inches. Cedar City getting the action as well. Some very heavy rainfall coming across the area today. Likely a repeat for some areas today. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to hit Las Vegas directly, but there still is the flash flood watch up. So this day in SoCal weather history, September 2nd, 1960. Check it out. Baseball size hail. This is the largest hail ever recorded in California here. So, these thunderstorms usually the headline makers this time of year. Thunderstorms today include Redding, Chico, Yuba City, Reno, and you can see 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. here, and the impacts typical thunderstorm activity stuff, including some deadly lightning. Eureka, California, you could probably extend some of these flash flood watches out a bit here, and they may do so, who knows. But yeah, heads up for that. That low pressure system going to continue to bring more precipitation across the area for the next couple of days. There's even the beach hazard statement here I thought I'd point out here in Southern California. 3 to 6 feet of some breaking waves here. Talking about that increased risk of ocean drowning, rip currents there. Just a heads up there if you're across Southern California going out to the beach today. Weather outlook for northern Arizona. You can see as we go towards next week, we're going to suppress this monsoon signal here. So one more active day today, and then starting to wind things down through Sunday and on in through next week. We'll take a look at that, and the model runs here in a moment. You can see Parker, Blythe, Prescott, and Sedonia, Payson, looking at some thunderstorm activity again today. Not so much for Phoenix, but as you go off to the west here, your chances are going to increase pretty quickly. Localized flooding, blowing dust. All storms contain deadly lightning. Las Vegas National Weather Service calling attention to that flash flood watch. They issued this morning here, so watch out for that rock and debris on the roadway. Turn around, don't drown. You guys know the drill. This is looking at European model as of yesterday afternoon. The system kind of taking its sweet time. Finally starts kicking out Sunday night. Residual troughing hangs out. Ridge starts to build. Trough moves through the Pacific Northwest, and you can see this tropical storm or hurricane, depending on how strong it gets here off of Baja, continues off to the west, according to the European. Been pretty steadfast with that, keeping it out of the region here. It might just get a bump in some of the relative humidities across the area. Let's see what last night's GFS said. Trough continues to spin over Northern California, kicks out Sunday afternoon and Monday. Good model agreement there. Residual troughing, then we start to build the ridge, and check it out. The GFS gets this storm going pretty strong, probably a hurricane, but it does not bring it up towards California. We'll watch that closely. I mean, things can still change. As you can see right here, we're looking at 170 hours out into the forecast, so things can still change at this point. But right now, both the major global models have this thing kicking off to the west, and maybe that residual moisture will be impacting Hawaii, the Hawaiian Islands later on in through the following week. This is looking at total precipitation in inches. This is last night's European run. Look at some of these precip amounts across Nevada, the higher terrain, even Death Valley could get the action. Some of the higher terrain across Southern California also. So yeah, very interesting late summer, early fall storm setting up shop here. perfectly placed over California, helping to extinguish these fires. But if you notice, as I ran out a little bit further, that precipitation really cuts off here as we go through next week. So we'll be watching that coming up here as well. This is the NAM 3KM. This is hot off the press, is the 12Z run. Let me update that and make sure the entire run is in. But look at some of these values across Nevada. Some powerful storms may be moving across here as we go through this afternoon and on in through Sunday as well. Look at some of these precipitation amounts, 2-3+ inches in some of these localized bands here, all the way across some in northwest Arizona into Utah. And look at Nevada just getting bullseyed here. There would be some definite flooding concerns as you go through the next 36, 48 hours. Some areas getting up over 4 or even 5 inches of rain, if you believe the NAM 3KM. And why not? That low is there, and it's bringing up plentiful moisture. So those totals are probably likely to verify in some areas. This is the GFS. We're looking at precipitable water anomaly. You can see the spin in the atmosphere and all the moisture being brought up over the area, bringing this heavy rainfalls for some locations. Trough starts to kick out. Then watch the dry air kind of move in here with this ridge. And then you can see the tropical system development here and push off to the west. Just a general bump in the relative humidity right now. It doesn't look like these tropical remnants are coming towards California or Arizona as of right now. But we'll watch it closely as you see that slug of moisture move on. And then look at the end of the GFS. Something interesting happens here. This gets caught up in the westerlies pretty quick. This usually doesn't happen until you get a little bit further across the Pacific Ocean here. But yeah, interesting stuff. This moisture might join back up into this trough here off over the Pacific Ocean. And we'll watch that off into the extended. Just kind of an interesting thing off into the Fantasyland portion of the GFS. Here's the European here. This goes out about 360 hours. This is yesterday afternoon's run. Put this into motion. You can see the ridge developing here. Tropical system, probably a hurricane as it pushes off to the west here. Let's see what it does with its remnants. Yeah, it starts to join the westerlies here as well, a little bit further off across the Pacific Ocean there. So interesting stuff. Starting to look a bit more like fall here across some of the Pacific Ocean. Now this is looking at the National Blended Model. Sorry, this is last night's run, and you can see it actually around about midnight. But you can see the suppression in temperatures here. Not bad. Look at as we go through tomorrow, only in the 70s in the valley areas here, but then we start to bounce back next week and get back towards normal and maybe even above average as we go through the end of next week. We'll take a look at some of those temperatures here. Starting now, look at Sacramento, highs only in the 80s here. Look at the average high for this time of year, 95. So you could be a good, 12 degrees below average for the next few days before getting back towards normal. Towards the end of next week, here's Reno, something similar there. Look at some of these highs only into the 60s. Average high this time of year being in the mid 80s. Las Vegas, something similar there as well. Highs only into the low to mid 80s here with the average highs this time of year in the upper 90s. Bakersfield, something similar, starting to bounce back as we go towards the weekend. Los Angeles, on the coastal area here, the temperatures don't vary quite as much, but you can see temperatures only in the low to mid 70s. Average high this time of year right around 80, 82 degrees or so. Burbank, you go inland a bit more here, and the temperatures vary much more, and you can see some of these highs as you go on through next weekend, maybe getting up to the mid and upper 90s, but in the meantime, only low to mid 70s. Palm Springs, similar here. You can see that yin and yang here, the low temperatures and then the bounce back as we go through the weekend. So this is 6 to 10 day, near normal on a lot of the West Coast. But the further you go east towards Arizona, eastern California and Nevada here, your chances start to rise here, and a big signal here across New Mexico and Texas. Through September 11th, 6 to 10 day, we start to shut down a lot of this precip here across much of the Southwest, and the monsoon season comes to a wind down, but this is still below average even for the season starting to come to an end. Now this is looking at the forest fire smoke. Look at this. The air quality has gotten quite a bit better. Still, the fire is going to be ongoing here for a while. It takes a while for them to completely extinguish. But look at that. Air quality index generally pretty good, except if you're immediately in and around some of this forest fire activity. Now looking at the HER, the 12Z run, you can see the surface smoke really suppressed. I mean, it was much more just a few days ago. You guys don't need me to tell you that here across Northern California. But look at this, a very positive forecast as far as smoke is concerned across much of Oregon and California. A perfectly placed storm there for Northern California. And this is going to help out too, because meteorological summer was pretty dry across some portions, especially the coastal areas of Northern California, some of the Bay Area, not getting a lot of precip from this system, but any amount helps. And you can see the impacts of Tropical Storm Hillary had through meteorological summer here. Some places getting up over 800% of their normal summer precipitation, and a big swath of it too up through Nevada, Oregon, Idaho, and Wyoming there, up through portions of Montana as well. This is January 1st through September 1st, and you can see so far how we're doing this year. Big yin and yang again between the west and east coast. And this was meteorological summer here, generally about 0.8, so above average here for the lower 48. But you can see what areas had above normal summers here versus some kind of mixed bag activity and below normal across Nevada, Utah, portions of California as well. But yeah, perfectly placed storm. You can't draw it up much better. It just kind of parking right over the fires there. So very beneficial for many areas. And just a reminder, I'll put in the link down below if you guys want to save 10% off on a nice weather station to record all this crazy weather that you guys can get at times across California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona. Click on that link down below. You'll save 10% off. It's got a haptic rain gauge, ultrasonic anemometer. It has a lightning detection system, and the smartphone app is really great. So yeah, highly recommend that station. But anyway, we'll watch everything again tomorrow. We'll check out that tropical system. We'll see how much that ridge is going to build. We'll see if we have any more troughs in our extended forecast. And yeah, we'll do it all tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.